Good afternoon. My name is Christian Pineda. I am the project coordinator for Lone Star Legal Aid Connecting Kids to Coverage grant. Today, we are going to be discussing the public charge rules and its connection to Medicaid and CHIP, specifically since the Connecting Kids to Coverage project here at LSLA, its main focus is to reach those eligible families that have children that are uninsured or at risk of losing their coverage and assist them with application process and the appeal of termination and cancellation of benefits. Today, we are going to be covering the public charge rule and how it actually correlates to these type of benefits. With me today, I do have my colleague, Elizabeth Green, and I'll leave her to introduce herself.
Hi, I am Elizabeth Green. I'm the staff attorney with the team. My role is to appeal those denials and terminations he's talking about and get those benefits reinstated to those families. Like he said, today we're going to be talking about the public charge rule. And today, joining us from Children's Defense Fund is Esther Reyes and Graciela Camarena. Esther and Graciela, would you guys mind telling us a little bit more about your organization and what you guys do?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting us here. I'm Graciela Camarena. I'm the program director in the Rio Grande Valley. We assist families to apply and renew for Medicaid and CHIP and also advocate on their behalf when they've done everything right and they still may get a denial or they have more questions. So we're definitely the eyes and ears in our community. Esther will speak a little bit more about the organization, but I definitely want to give families my contact to make sure they know that they have someone to reach out to when they have questions or concerns or doubts about application process, renewal process, and of course, advocacy. We will give those contact information at the end of this live stream. But Esther, would you like to introduce yourself and the organization?
Yes, thank you so much, Gracie. My name is Esther Reyes, and I am Director of Immigration Policy and Advocacy with the Children's Defense Fund Texas. We are a state office of the Children's Defense Fund National Office, which is based in Washington, D.C. And we work to raise awareness about the challenges facing Texas children. And we connect children and families, as Gracie was mentioning, to resources that help meet their needs. And we also work with partners across the state to coordinate legislative action on behalf of Texas children and families. So we're really grateful for this opportunity to be here with you all.
Thank you guys for that overview of your organization and what you guys do. We're really excited that you guys are here with us. Now let's jump into the purpose of the presentation, which is the public charge policy. Esther, can you tell our audience what exactly the public charge rule is to start?
Yes. I'm going to be hopefully as clear as possible and define everything as simply as possible so as to avoid some confusion that there's been out there. Public charge is a term in immigration law that describes a person who is primarily dependent on the government for support. And so some people who apply for lawful permanent residence or a visa to enter the US must pass what is called the public charge test. And this test looks at whether the person is likely to use certain government benefits in the future.
Thank you for that answer, Esther. We know there was a change in the public charge policy in 2019. Can you distinguish for our audience the difference between that original 1999 rule and the 2019 rule that was in place?
Yes. I want to start by saying that the long-standing 1999 field guidance is the current public charge policy. So we are there again at this moment. And this guidance makes it very clear that the use of most public benefits programs, such as health, nutrition, and housing programs, will not have an effect or an impact on an individual's immigration status. In 2019, as you mentioned, Elizabeth, the Trump administration did issue a slightly expanded version of the 1999 rule. And even though the changes to the rule were slight, the community just immediately responded with a sense of fear, and many of them stopped enrolling and also disenrolled their families from benefits. But again, in March of 2021, the Biden administration announced that the 2019 public charge rule would no longer be in effect, and that the longstanding 1999 field guidance is the current public charge policy, which again, I want to reiterate, makes it clear that the use of most public benefits will not impact an individual's immigration status.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you for that, Esther. I did want to mention to our audience, this presentation is intended to serve as legal information and does not replace legal advice in regards to this matter. If you do have need for legal advice, please contact Lone Star Legal Aid at 1-800-733-8394 or go to www.lonestarlegal.org for more information on legal assistance. Switching back, Graciela, since I know Esther just touched on the basis on the two different rules, we do know that on March 9th, 2021, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services stopped applying the 2019 charge rule and went back to the one that was released in 1999. Has your organization, since you do work in the one-on-one with individuals and on the ground, have you seen any impact of these rules in the community since it's changed?
Well, thank you for that question, Christian. What we have seen is that there's still a need for a lot of information into the communities about what is public charge and who does it affect. Since the change in 2019 went into effect, again, Esther mentioned the fear really set into the communities and families, and they started disenrolling their children or not even wanting to enroll. So these are US citizen children or lawfully present immigrants that can apply for these types of programs. So what we've seen still yet, even with the change in 2021, they still are waiting to make sure this information is real. They still have that fear that this will impact them and affect them in their future pathway into either permanent residency for themselves, and that is for the individual who's seeking that permanent residency or change of status. We have to still make sure and provide information to all families because public charge does not apply to everyone. And it's so important to distinct that. For example, we've had families who are already legal permanent residents and have been for 3, 5, 7 years, but they still don't want to apply because the term public charge to them is utilizing a benefit. They're not even thinking, do I qualify for it? Will it affect me or anything? The terms public charge have set in fear for many, many years, but even more so since the change that happened in 2019. So there's a lot of need for clarification and information, and for families and individuals to gain that trust again, knowing that it will not affect them. So these are programs like Medicaid for their children, CHIP, SNAP, housing programs, childcare services. They're not sure if it's going to affect them, so they just tend to not apply for them. But again, like I said, public charge does not apply to everyone. There's just a small group of people that it may apply to, and these are individuals who are seeking permanent residency for the first time, not those who are renewing. And again, it is for the individual themselves. It does not affect them if their children who are US citizens or legal permanent residents utilize these benefits if they qualify for them. So again, we want to clarify that it doesn't apply to everyone. We have seen families still weary about re-enrolling if they did disenroll back in 2019, and just want to make sure that they feel safe to utilize these programs, and they should. And again, these are for their children who qualify for them and who are deserve these programs. If they qualify for them and they need them, they should apply for them and receive them. Especially In this day and age with COVID, a lot of people are impacted with their employment, being displaced from their housing because of lack of employment. So there's even more need now to clarify this message for immigrant families that if public charge does not apply to them, they should go ahead and seek these services if they need them.
Perfect. Thank you, Gracie. And to kind of expand on the previous question, did your team see any type of impact that the 2019 public charge policy kind of created while you were assisting families with Medicaid benefits, while that rule was still in effect?
That impact itself was more of the disenrollment and fear. So our work right now is trying to get those families back in because they may still qualify. There's children need services. Children were not being taken for vaccinations and for checkups for their children, going to the dentist, having all these just checkups that they needed for back to school and things like that. So again, we need to bring families back in if they qualify for these programs. So they call this the chilling effect because it just spread so quickly. This fear, this unknown, this misinformation about it's going to affect everyone. So what we saw was, like I mentioned earlier, families and individuals who had families either already permanent residents, U.S. citizen children that were also leaving the programs because of public charge. It doesn't even apply to them. So again, there's just so much need for information into our communities. So we're working very hard to continue to identify those families who did drop off, to get this information to them. And hopefully this live stream will do some of that. So please share this information. If you're hearing it now for the first time, talk to your family, friends, and neighbors. Learn more about public charge and your rights through the Protecting Immigrant Families.org website. There's a lot of resources. Our organization, plus many others around the state and around the country, are providing this type of outreach and information in different languages. We want to make sure families reconnect to services and benefits that they need and qualify for.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Gracie. Thank you for that information and for sharing those resources. As a follow-up, I know that Gracie mentioned it about the chilling effect, but can you please tell us about CDF's new campaign that they're working on, the Thaw the Chilling Effect?
Yes, absolutely. And actually, I want to put some numbers, if I can, quickly to that chilling effect that Gracie was talking about. We saw a really steep decline in enrollment for children's health coverage in Texas between December 2017 and February of 2020, just before the pandemic really hit us. Texas children enrolled in Medicaid and CHIP dropped by more than 237,000 children. So that was a huge drop that we definitely saw and that our partners or organizations also felt. And in SNAP enrollment, the enrollment dropped from 3.9 million Texans in January 2017 to 3.3 million in February 2020. So again, this chilling effect is one of the major factors in these drops in enrollment. And so because of that, we are working with organizations and health partners across the state to increase enrollment in healthcare and nutrition benefits among immigrant communities in Texas. And we want to spread one message very far and wide and very clearly. And we want families to know that enrollment in programs like Medicaid, CHIP, and SNAP is safe and secure, and that help is available out there. We want to reassure families that enrolling in these programs will not have an effect on their ability to get a green card or apply for citizenship. And not only do we want our communities to understand this information, we want to be able to spread this message through as many avenues as possible, including reaching immigration attorneys who are unclear about public charge, also reaching workers who help individuals apply for benefits. And we also want to educate the media. So this campaign is really going to be multifaceted, large scale, statewide, because we want our families to feel comfortable applying for public programs like WIC and SNAP, because we know that our families will do whatever it takes to take care of their children and of each other. And they, our children count on us. And so we want our families to feel comfortable and know that applying for these services will not have immigration consequences for them or for anyone in their family. So again, this is going to be, we hope that many of you will see these messages in your communities, through your local news stations, through your radio stations, later this year. So stay tuned, because you will be hearing that message from us again, that enrollment in these programs is safe and there's help out there for you to enroll in the programs again.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Esther. We want to take this time to open up the floor to any questions that any of my viewers might have, or that Esther, Gracie, y'all might have towards us. Want to just take some time and see if there was any questions out there.
I would like to add, Kristen, if that's possible right now, just also to
Of
make
course.
sure that individuals and families know that, their information is protected. When someone applies for Medicaid or CHIP for their children, it's only the information of the child who's applying for the benefit. They're not, the information of the parent, if for any reason, their name appears on the application, that doesn't mean that they're applying for benefits. And that information that they are able to share for themselves is confidential. So again, families should not fear in applying for their children who are US citizens or legal permanent residents and may qualify for these programs, and that this information is protected and not shared with immigration. So again, we want families to, be, trust and be safe, and know that these programs are safe and confidential.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Gracie. Any chance you can tell me what information is asked of the actual children when applying for these benefits? I know those are some type of questions that we do receive when we are providing those type of assistance.
Yeah, I can answer some of that. So again, when someone is applying for these types of programs, either, we specialize in Medicaid and CHIP, but of course it's the same application to utilize for SNAP as well. What is needed for the person who is applying for the benefit, what is being asked is the name, the date of birth, a social security number for the person or child applying. Again, I have to stress, just because mom's name appears on the application as the adult or the head of household, but she's not applying, she does not have to put information. Even if she had it, she doesn't have to put it because she's not applying for it. But for those who are applying for benefits, again, date of birth, social security number, what they're looking for is, does this child or individual qualify regarding the income guideline? So they look into income. This is for Medicaid and CHIP. Now for SNAP, they do ask for more information. For instance, if they count on any assets. Is there money in the bank? Do they own more than one vehicle? And does that vehicle's excess value, go beyond the limits for assets? They have other property. So it does ask for assets in the SNAP application or SNAP case, but not for Medicaid or CHIP. So again, when we're assisting families, it's family size just to determine income, and then the child or children, date of birth and social security number, if they're applying for the benefit.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. We did have another question in regards to the parents. I know you mentioned it before that the parents don't have to provide any information, but they have stated that sometimes they are asked to either put some type of status in that application. Is that information actually required for them to fill out?
It is not required if they're not applying for any program themselves. I have seen firsthand when they receive a letter requesting more information and telling the parent, please submit a copy of your permanent resident card if you're an LPR. They never said they're not applying for the program. And my understanding of policy is they should not be asking for that. So no, if they're not applying for the program themselves, none of that information is required of them and they shouldn't be asked for it. But definitely if anybody else wants to chime in on that, that's fine. But that has been my understanding and experience for over 20 years of me doing this type of outreach.
Perfect, perfect. Give me 1 second. Okay. This question is for you, Esther. How would somebody go about finding more information on regarding the campaign that y'all are currently hosting?
Yes, we are open and we want as many organizations and partners to join our effort. So we welcome you to come to our planning meetings. I do believe we have our information. You will be we'll be typing in our information to contact us. My email address will be on there. It's ereyes@childrensdefense.org. And you all can, just give me a call. We have different working groups some are concentrating on trainings for attorneys, trainings for community members, trainings for enrollment assisters. And then we have another group who's working on mass media and social media strategies. So if any of those are of particular interest to you, if this could be also a benefit to your community, certainly, if you just joined so that you can get that information and share it with your community, we absolutely would love for you to join us as well. There's no commitment. We just really want to spread this information as much as possible. So please feel free to contact us and we will send you the information you need to join our meetings.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for joining us for Law Talk Friday. To our audience, if you are in need of any assistance from Children's Defense Fund or Lone Star Legal Aid, you can check the comments section for the contact information.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.